And there it is. We got the first college football playoff selection committee rankings on Tuesday night, election night. I didn't enjoy that election theme. As a matter of fact, if you want an election theme for your broadcast, you could go watch, not a football show. Nobody asked for that. Nobody needed that. Outside of that, I did enjoy very much getting to the top 25 as quickly as we possibly can, finding out where the teams are ranked, and then finding out what work needs to be done, if any, to get into the 12-team dance. And I appreciate what this is setting up for, right? So there are a couple of things that I wanted to get away, talk through as I'm writing these things down a little bit later on. Number one is Colorado enters the College Football Playoff Selection Committee rankings for the first time in the prime era. They're at number 20 as it stands right now. And that means that we got to talk about Colorado entering the national title race in earnest for the first time in the CFP era. They were ranked in the 2016 rankings at the end, just outside of what we might think of as, the first four teams. Like at number 8, they were 1 point, and then they dropped to number 10. I think that this is a program that at that time might have gotten into the college football playoff, right? I really have to go take a look at the game-by-game results, where they ended up in the Pac-12, figure that out. But now that we're at 12 teams, you can see a road through for Prime in Colorado to the national championship game. So with the losses to Iowa State and Kansas State, taken by, Texas Tech and Houston, the Buffaloes at 6-2 and 4-1 in the conference sit tied at number 2 with Iowa State in the Big 12. That means that not only is Prime's Buffalo eligible for a bowl for the first time in his era, it also has a definitive path to the college football playoff with what I think is the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter, who 100% affects winning. With just one game left against a team with a winning record right now in Texas Tech, you can see them charting a path to the Big 12 championship. So on the road against Texas Tech at Jones with the Tortillas and the Matador, that's a tough environment, and they're going to have to earn it every step of the way. That place is really tough to play in. But you get past Texas Tech, who's at 6-3. You got Utah, who's at 4-4. They got the backup quarterback and Isaac Wilson in. Kansas, who's just been abysmal at 2-6. Oklahoma State at 3-6. Mike Gundy, the best he can do is tell people that they're poor and they're broke, and that's why his football team sucks. I think that Colorado could win all of those games. And then we're looking at Colorado being 10-2, no matter what. And is that one of the 12 best teams in college football? That would be one of the interesting questions to ask as we're getting there. But if they went out and Iowa State takes a loss to Kansas State at the end of the season, we are talking about Colorado playing BYU for the Big 12 championship. That's not a small thing. That's never going to be a small thing. That's always going to be an enormous thing. As I am taking a look at what the Big 12 has represented in this season, we think that it is going to be the least ranked of the 4 highest ranked Power 4 conference champions that we think are going to get the, 4 bid spots where you get the bye week, right? Where you get to wait for the first round of games and then you get to go play. So do you really want to be in that 4 spot? No. I think that's the worst spot in college football's playoff this year. You don't want to be in the 4 spot. That BYU is undefeated in the 4 spot, as we have other teams with losses like Georgia and Ohio State ahead of them. It's just not going to make you feel good. That said, BYU is in the midst of its best season since 2020 when Zach Wilson was quarterback there, and they look for everybody like they're going to win the Big 12 championship. Like what they did at Kansas State was no fluke, 38-7. They have a great win against the number 13 team in the country in Southern Methodist. And if you are actually paying attention, yeah, BYU should be ranked again ahead of Indiana based on its strength of record. Though Indiana, for me, looks a lot like what we expected Clemson to be like during that 2015 to 2020-ish run, 2019 run, where it felt like they weren't playing anybody, and then they showed up in the college football playoff and handed people their heads. But sticking with Colorado for just a second here, think about this. You got Shedeur Sanders, you got Travis Hunter, and then you got Parts. And by Parts, I mean dudes that have absolutely leveled up the Colorado game from this year to last year. And I really wish that this year's team was last year's team, because people aren't watching as much Colorado as they were last year, but they're still watching a lot of Colorado. And I think they're going to watch even more if this team continues to win. But the Parts, from Will Shepard to Shiloh Sanders, you've got guys out there that are making plays in a way that they need to for this team to win. The defense has been drastically improved. The offensive line has gotten better with the addition of Jordan Seaton and moving off a bunch of those guys that you once had into your program that were unable to keep Shedeur Sanders upright, got the man sacked 50 times, and got his vertebrae broken. Now we're talking about a Colorado that people are coming around to is really good in all three phases, right? They can kick the ball when they need to. They can return kicks when they need to. And you got Travis Hunter, who is on pace to be, I think one of the legendary college football players in our sport. Along with Jeremiah Smith, this is a great season for college football and a great season to have the 12-team playoff. For Colorado, though, you need to keep your eye on the ball. For Colorado, you're coming out of a bye week where a lot of things broke for you. It doesn't break like this for a lot of people during their bye week. You can see your chance to go out the window. As a matter of fact, it's not uncommon to see a program get docked in a week where they didn't play football because somebody else did and somebody else looked better. That didn't happen to Colorado with the losses for Iowa State and Kansas State. They moved up. And now we're looking at a Colorado program that, if they get a win this weekend, could chart themselves into the top 15 just after getting that win on the road against what we know is a good Texas Tech team, and a Texas Tech team that's going to be up for them. In as far as Prime is concerned, you got to keep the blinders on. Like I have said for some time now, that I don't know that Colorado has played well inside the spotlight. Outside the spotlight, they've been great. To the point about primetime television, yeah, there's primetime television. There's playing on ESPN. There's playing on ESPN2. There's playing on FS1. There's playing on Fox. There's playing on on ABC. But frequently, the last few weeks, that's not been the game that people are focused on, right? People are focused on other bigger games that are happening in the SEC or the Big Ten at night. So you're not necessarily just laser focused on the Big 12. Plus, the Big 12 has been playing some games after 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is like 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of the folks that purport to be, they want you to believe they're college football fans, they're not up. They're not watching. I actually was really kind of pissed that this weekend we got daylight saving time. There aren't any late college football games. It's like, this is the perfect time to have it. We all get the hour back. Give us the late college football. But now we know Colorado games are going to be seen. I would be shocked to see if they play a game that is not on a big-time broadcast network. I would be shocked to find out they don't play on Fox or ESPN or FS1 the rest of the way, because they have earned that, right? Being 6-2 and being one of those teams that is playing for an opportunity to compete in the Big 12 championship in their first season. Tremendous for them. Remarkable for them. I'm excited to see what it is that they can do the rest of the way and whether or not they're going to answer the call. Like, you got to go undefeated for the month of November, what we used to call Championship November. Let's see if there's some championship in Colorado's get down in Buffalo, in Boulder, right? And let's see if they can't turn that momentum into not just wins on the football field, but wins in the offseason, as they're in a race right now to win Juju Lewis, I think. He's committed to USC. USC is cheeks. USC is going to a backup quarterback, probably signaling to Julian Lewis that, hey, we might have some room for you, but Lincoln Riley has shown that if you show him that you can play at the late part of the year, he's willing to give you the job, like he did with Miller Moss last year before he benched him today. Maybe that's Jaden Mayava. Julian Lewis also headed to Indiana this weekend for Indiana-Michigan, and that's a huge game. And Indiana is in a much better spot than either one of those programs. And Kurt Cignetti, all he's done is win since he got there. You need to put something down on paper that says, yes, Juju, this is the place for you to be with Shedeur Sanders absolutely going to the NFL next year. I've really kind of enjoyed this conversation that people were having not here about Shedeur Sanders coming back in 2025. And I'm like, for what? For who? For how? He was asked, like, did you enroll in classes in the spring? And he says, classes? I'm going to league. What do I need to enroll in classes for? There's your answer. He's not sticking around. And that'll answer some questions about what Prime is going to do, right? The thing about coaches telling me or telling you or telling us that they're going to stay where they are is it's good right up until the point that it's not. You'd be a fool to just expect him to stay at Colorado because he just says so. We see coaches move all the time for various reasons. After claiming that they wouldn't, Jed Fish at Arizona, he said, I'm not leaving Arizona. A couple days later, he's in Washington. So when we come around to the coaching carousel and there's no movement, cool. Prime gets to say, I kept my word. It's great. But I'm saying until we see that coaching carousel come and go, I'm not at all sold that Prime is going to be in Colorado, because that's not traditionally how it has gone for coaches that have really great seasons. He wins 10 games at Colorado. there's going to be a lot of people that are asking, do you really want to stay there? Because we got a job over here that we think is more attractive to you and what you might be able to provide for us.